हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। अभ्रमं भङ्गरहितम् अजडं विमलं सदा आनन्दतीर्थमतनं भजे तापत्रयापहं मिथ्यासिद्धान्तदुद्ध्वान्त विध्वंसण विचक्षणः जयतीर्थाख्यतनिर्भासतां नो हृदम्बरे अर्तिकल्पितकल्पोऽयं प्रत्यर्थिगजकेसरी व्यासतीर्थगुरुर्भूयात् अस्मदिष्टार्थसिद्धये तपोविद्याविरक्त्यादि सद्गुणौघाकरानहं वादिराजगुरून् वन्दे हैग्रीवपदाश्रयान् पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च भजतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनवे दुर्वादिध्वान्तरवये वैष्णवेन्दीवरेन्दवे श्रीराघवेन्द्रगुरुवे नमो अत्यन्तदयाळवे आपादमौलिपर्यन्तं गुरूणाम् आकृतिं स्मरेत् तेन विघ्नाः प्रणश्यन्ति सिद्ध्यन्ति मनोरथाः। हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. Today we are going to talk about the works of Sri Raghavendra Swamigalaru and also concentrate on one of the works just to sample to see how vividly he presents the ideas, how clearly he explains the concepts. So he was a very prolific writer, great saint. Of course, a lot of people remember him for the great miracles that he has done. But the greatest miracle of all the miracles that Raghavendra Swami performed was the miracle of the collection of the variety of works that are depicting and presenting the good concepts and the notions about Paramatma, so that it can help us. All those works of Rayaru, they are helpful for the devotees to continue with their sadhana. So for us to do the sadhana, we should have a clear knowledge of what we are doing. So that knowledge is really, Raghavendra Swami was like a bundle of knowledge, and that way that he presented the concepts is very, very extraordinary. So I'm going to talk about his work. So he is credited with having written more than 40 works, including commentaries on Vyasaraja's Chandrika, and he has written on Vedas, Upanishads, and Prakaranas of Madhvacharya, and his Mantrartha Manjari, it elucidates the Madhvacharya's Rugbhashya. His Purvashrama son, Lakshmi Narayana, he wrote a Rugartha Manjari, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later. So a majority of Raghavendra Swami's works are commentaries in the works of Madhvacharya, Tika Rairu, and Vyasaraja, and of course he wrote directly on the Upanishads as well. However, Rairu wrote several original works as well, which are available. So fortunately, most of Rairu's works are available today. Some of them are not available, but most of them are available today. And he wanted to write commentaries or tippanis for all the tikas of Tika Rairu. So when he was writing that, he saw his own Shishya and also Purashrama Lakshmi Narayana work on Rugbhashya. So for Rigveda, the first 40 suktas, Acharya Madhva wrote Rugbhashya to tell people how the commentary for Veda should be. It's so exhaustive and beautiful commentary that Acharya wrote, and for that Rugbhashya, Tika Rai wrote a Tika, and for that Tika, so Lakshmi Narayana wrote the Tippani. So Rairu abstained writing Tippani for the Tika, but instead for that Rigveda directly, Rugartha Manjari Rairu wrote, so that he did not want to write whatever Lakshmi Narayana already did. He didn't want to be like a competition for him type of thing. So he was such a Shishyavatsalya basically. So that's how it is. And then some of his works include Vedatraya Vivruti commentary on various suktas that he has written. Some of them are available, especially the Purusha Sukta commentary is a beautiful commentary that's available today for people who wants to study the Purusha Sukta. That's available. And also, the interesting thing is, for Bhagavad Gita, Raghavendra Swami, he wrote 3 works basically. One is, for example, for Bhagavad Gita, Acharya Madhva wrote two commentaries, Gita Bhashya and Gita Tatparya, for which Tika Rairu wrote Tikas. For Gita Bhashya, Tika Rairu wrote Prameya Deepika, and for Gita Tatparya, Tika Rairu wrote the Tika, which is called Nyaya Deepika. And Raghavendra Swamigulavaru, he wrote commentary, Tippani for those two Tikas. So Tika Rairu's those two Tikas on Bhagavad Gita. Rairu wrote Tippanis. In addition, Rairu wrote a direct commentary on Bhagavad Gita, which is called Gita Sangraha, more popularly known as Gita Vivruti. So, which is a very direct and rather Rairu's approach itself in all the commentaries it is an approach called Khandartha. Khandartha means, like it became so popular, Rairu Khandartha. He takes and explains every word in the sloka or whatever he is commenting on. He explains like almost like a pratipadartha, so people don't miss out on anything. So a complete picture is given. So that approach called Khandartha approach is a very, very popular and powerful approach that Rairu did. And in addition, Rairu wrote a direct commentary on Brahmasutra Bhashya, which is called Tantra Deepika, very, very popular one. And this Tantra Deepika is directly takes the Brahma Sutras and explains them like a string fashion. He gives the full flow of Brahma Sutras using Tantra Deepika. And then he also wrote Nyayamuktavali, Tattva-manjari, Tattva-prakashika, Bhavadipa. So Bhavadipa is basically like a common name for all the commentaries that Rairu wrote on Brahma Sutras or other works. So it's Tattva-prakashika, Bhavadipa. Tattva-prakashika is basically the commentary of Tika Rairu on Brahma Sutra Bhashya. So that Tattva-prakashika, for that Rairu wrote Bhavadipa. And then Parimala, actually Rairu is known as Parimalacharya. The reason is Rairu wrote a commentary called Nyayasudha Parimala, which is a commentary on the Tika of Tikacharya. So Acharya Madhva wrote Anuvyakhyana, which is kind of a comprehensive work using in the same flow as the Brahma Sutras. And for that Anuvyakhyana, Tika Rairu wrote a commentary which is a very popular one known as Nyaya Sudha. Like Sudha is like Amruta. So when Anuvyakhyana is there, for that is like Amruta Praya, like a nectar. Nyaya Sudha is there, the logical treatise, a great feast. Now today, a lot of scholars, they do Sudha, Mangala and all that. So the studying Sudha has become like a traditional thing where people want to really get a good grasp on the concepts that are presented in Nyaya Sudha. And whoever study Nyaya Sudha, they utilize Parimala. So the Sudha Parimala they call. Imagine the Amruta having a fragrance. Parimala means actually fragrance. Amruta has fragrance also. How beautiful it is. So the similar concept, Nyaya Sudha Parimala, is a elaboration of Nyaya Sudha. It's an exhaustive work of Raghavendra Swamigulavaru. So this is called Sudha Parimala, and because of the beauty of that work, Parimala, like a magnum opus of Rairu, is called Parimalacharya. So that's the one. And then on Prakarana Grantha, Tikas also he wrote Vyakhyana on that. And also two beautiful stotra type of works Raghavendra Swami wrote. One is called Ramacharitra Manjari, and another one is Krishna Charitra Manjari, which are like the stotras of Sri Rama and Sri Krishna, a beautiful work. And then Acharya wrote for Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, and for Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya is an exhaustive work which 32 sargas or adhyayas. For that, Rairu wrote Bhavasangra. For each adhyaya, he wrote like one sloka, which is called Tatparya Nirnaya Bhavasangraha, which is like a compact work which gives the summary. So this is how Rairu has done. An elaborate of work is taken and a summary is given, which is like a Tatparya Nirnaya Bhavasangraha. But at the same time, Acharya Madhva wrote a tiny work called Anubhashya, which is kind of a summary of the Brahmasutra Bhashya. And also whatever Acharya has given, Acharya Madhva, all that he condensed in a small work called Anubhashya. And for that Anubhashya, Raghavendra Swami wrote Tattvamanjari, which is an elaborate explanation. So he took a smaller work and gave an exhaustive, elaborate explanation. And he took elaborate works and wrote like a summary of them. So this kind of versatile abilities Rayuru has exhibited, and also for Vadavali Vyakhyana, Rayuru wrote, and then Chandrika Prakasha. So Chandrika is basically Tatpari Chandrika of his own previous avatar. As you all know, Raghavendra Swami, he is avatar of Prahlada, Prahlada's avatar, and his prior avatar as Vyasaraya. So Prahlada took the Vyasaraya avatar, and then Prahlada took the Raghavendra avatar later on. So as Vyasaraya avatar, he has composed Chandrika, and as Raghavendra Swami, he wrote a commentary on that Chandrika, Chandrika Prakasha. And then Tarkatanda Vyakhyana he wrote, and for Pramana Paddhati he wrote a Pramana Paddhati Vyakhyana, and for Anumadvija Vyakhyana he has written. So, and in addition, Raghavendra Swami has written two beautiful works which are called Prata Sankalpa Gadya and Sarvasamarpana Gadya. It's normally in a tradition among Madhva people, a lot of Madhva people, what they do is at the beginning of the day, before they start anything, so morning, they do Prata Sankalpa Gadya. This is basically doing a Sankalpa in the morning, how they are going to spend the day in God's thoughts, so the way they are going to spend. So, and also the concepts that are given, like, a beautiful, simple work, and in the form of Prata Sankalpa Gadya, people start the day with Prata Sankalpa Gadya, and after the whole day is over, all the activities are over, at the end of the day, they do Sarva Samarpana Gadya, basically offering whatever they did over the day, they offer it back to Paramatma, just like Sarva Samarpana Gadya. And in these two, a lot of tattvic concepts are also given. They're not just like, doing just a mere Sankalpa and mere Samarpana, not just a casual one, but a lot of Shastra concepts are also given in there. And then another one is Bhatta Sangraha. That's also a beautiful work that is written. And then Prameya Sangraha. These are also the work, nice, uh, what you call ontology and etymology. Basically, ontology, epistemology, uh, pramana lakshana. Suppose we need to study Shastras, how the pramana should be, what should be their lakshanas, all these concepts, pramana, prameya concepts, they are presented in these works. So the Prameya Sangraha gives how the prameyas are to be treated, how they have to be handled. So those concepts are also given there. And then Vedatraya Vivruti is like a commentary on three Vedas, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samveda, Rigveda, Yajurveda, and Atharvana Veda. And as I mentioned, the Suktas has written the commentaries on that. And the Khandathas, as I mentioned, word by word meaning, given by Rayuru on 9 of the 10 Upanishads. So all the 10 Upanishads he has not given, because Aitareya Upanishad, Rayuru did not write the commentary because his disciple Smriti Yuktavali Krishnacharya wrote a commentary on Aitareya Upanishad. So Rayuru did not want to write on that one, but the rest 9 Upanishads, he has written the Khandartha or commentary for those Upanishads. And then he has written uh, the other minor works also. And today what we are going to do is, we are going to take for a sample the Gita Vivruti, some of the slokas we are going to take up in Gita Vivruti, just to see how Rayuru presents the thoughts. I'll just take a sample of 3 slokas where people have a kind of misunderstanding about those slokas. So for those slokas, how Rayuru explained, so we're going to talk about that. And before that, I just want to mention that Nyaya is an exposition that highlights the Adhikarana Shishika of the Brahma Sutra. So this Nyaya basically also a work on Brahma Sutras. That's also what I read. And as I mentioned, Tattva Manjari is also a work on Brahma Sutra. So Brahma Sutras, multiple works of Rayuru. Same way in Bhagavad Gita also multiple works of Rayuru are there. And today we are going to take a sample of some 3 slokas from Gita Vivruti. and see how Rayaru has explained the slokas. And the first one I am going to cover is in the first adhyaya itself, there is a sloka. Um, and the sloka goes like this: Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam paryaptam tidametesham balam bhimabhirakshitam. Duryodhana says these words to Dronacharya before the war starts. Before the commencement of the war, Duryodhana walks over to Dronacharya and he tells these words, and while he tells some of the words about his army people and the other side army people, everything, Duryodhana gives this. This sloka, there are two words, paryaptam and aparyaptam. These words are very interesting. A lot of interesting words are in Sanskrit, but these words have two almost opposite looking meanings. For example, paryapta means one meaning is limited, paryapta, very limited. Or paryapta can also mean very capable. So almost like opposite. So very capable or very limited. And aparyapta is opposite of that. So aparyapta can mean unlimited, huge, unlimited, or it can also mean not capable. So most of the people, and you might have also seen on videos and TVs and everywhere, they give the meaning where Duryodhana says this is translated as our army protected by Bhishmacharya is unlimited, and the army protected by Bhima is very limited. So they have taken the meaning unlimited and limited. So it looks as if Duryodhana is bragging about his army and looking down upon Pandava's army. So Kaurava army is praising and he is criticizing or putting down the Pandava army. Because of Duryodhana's mentality, a lot of people think like that, but it is not. Because if we look at all the previous slokas and the next slokas, it is obvious that at that moment, Duryodhana had a little bit of depressed feeling, a reservation. He was doubtful about everything, a lot of things, because the way he listed his army people, the way he listed the army people on Pandava side, everything indicates that Duryodhana had a kind of negative feelings about himself, and because Dronacharya and Bhishmacharya, both of them are a kind of Pandava Pakshapatis. They are very supportive of Pandavas, though they are fighting on Duryodhana's side, but they are Pandava Pakshapatis. So Duryodhana was a little bit doubtful how much effort these people are going to put. The second thing is Duryodhana had already tasted Arjuna alone opposing the entire Kaurava army in the Virata Yuddha. So now it's not just Arjuna, but 7 Akshauhinis are standing there. And Bhimasena was not there in Virata Yuddha, fighting against Duryodhana. Of course, Bhimasena fought on the other side, but alongside of Arjuna, Bhima was not there. But now here, they are standing there. So that's why he said, Bhishma Abhirakshita Kaurava Sena. That means the army protected by Bhishma, the Kaurava army, is on one side, and the army chief on Kaurava's side is Bhishma. Then he should have mentioned Drishtadyumna, who is Pandava army chief, but he mentioned Bhima instead of Drishtadyumna because Bhima is a nightmare for him. And Bhima has already taken a vow that he's going to break the thighs of Duryodhana and he's going to break the chest of Dushasana. So he's already taken the vows. And people know about the strength of Bhima. So he had all kinds of doubts about his army. So he was telling, actually, the right meaning should have been what it should be. Rayaru explains beautifully in here. He says, this is the Vivruti of the Rayaru. Baladvaye balishta pariganane Pandava vijaye mama sandeho asti tatah bhavadadayaha sarve bahusannadha bhavantu iti bhavena aha. So his thought process when Duryodhana uttered those words is, among those two armies, when the strengths are all counted, his army is very doubtful of conquering the Pandavas, whereas Pandava army seems to be very capable of conquering the Kauravas. So that's why he says, Bhavadadaya sarve bhausana. So you better all of you be extra attentive, extra careful. That kind of a warning sign Duryodhana was giving. So he says, Aparyaptam iti. So that Aparyaptam sloka meaning, Rari explains this way, Sena pati bhuta bhishma abhirakshitam asmakam tat pragupta balishtopetam balam aparyaptam. So Senapati Bhuta, so the army chief who is Bhishmacharya, our army is protected by him, but because of the way I listed the strengths, our army seems to be incapable, not samartha. So aparyaptam means Pandava Vijaye na samartham pratiyate. It looks as if our army is not, doesn't seem to be capable in conquering the Pandava army. Whereas Bhima Virakshitam idam Pandavanam balam tu paryaptam asmat vijaye shaktam pratiyate. Bhima, the army protected by Bhima, the Pandava army, that seems to be capable of conquering us, of defeating us. It looks as if they can defeat us, but we don't seem to be capable of defeating them. So this is the right meaning. So people give exactly the opposite meaning. So Rairu came and gave, this is the meaning that we have to take. So this is the meaning Rairu has given. And then I'm taking the first adhyaya and then last adhyaya. So the first adhyaya I have taken one sloka, and I'll take two slokas from the last adhyaya, 18th adhyaya. There is one sloka that comes, the 63rd sloka in 18th adhyaya. There, Krishna says, this is this, iti te jnanamakhyātam guhyāt guhyataram maya vimurshya tad aseshena yathechasi tatha kuru. So, the superficial meaning, it appears like this. Iti te jnanamakhyātam guhyāt. Guhyāt means, guhya means very secret. Guhyāt guhyataram, very utmost secret knowledge has been imparted by me to you, O Arjuna. So Krishna is telling these words to Arjuna, and he says, Vimrushya, by analyzing, Vicharya, Vimrushya, having analyzed, Tadaseshena, Yathechasi Tathakuru. The way, whatever way you please do it. So, and a lot of great scholars also take this meaning and see Krishna is giving so much of freedom of expression, freedom of thought. He is letting Arjuna to decide for himself. Arjuna, I have told you everything that I need to tell you. Now it's up to you. You decide and you make a decision yourself and do as you please. So this is the meaning everywhere across the world. Like a lot of people, others were giving, and Acharya Madhva came and said, no, this is not the meaning. And he corrected the meaning in Tatparya, and Rayaru took the lead because Rayaru follows the Acharya, as it is. So, as you heard in Raghavendra Swami Stotra, Purnabodha, Tirtha Payobdhipara Kamari Maksha. So Purnabodha Tirtha is compared to the ocean, and he never trespasses the ocean. So he follows Acharya's principles as it is. So he, in Vivruti, Rayaru explains it this way. So evam Bhagavan Arjunasya Atigopyam Tattvam Upadishya. In this way, Sri Krishna Paramatma Bhagavanta, he explained Atigopya Tattva, very secret Tattva Jnana to Arjuna, Upadishya, having given the Upadesha, Tad Anuvada Purvakam Tushnim Stitam Arjunam Akshipati Iti. So he, as a consequence, the Arjuna is just listening to everything. And when he is listening everything, Krishna is giving like a kind of a challenging string. He says, Guhyat Guhyataram Atigopyam iti pragupta prakarena jnanam gneyam te tubhyam maya akhyatam tad aseshena vimrushya vicharya yathechasi tatakuru iti akshepaha. Hey, come on, man, this is akshepa. Akshepa means challenge. To understand the context, we have to see all the previous slokas. In the previous slokas, Krishna says, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hruddeshe junatishthati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani maya. In that sloka, Krishna was telling, hey, do you think, the Lord Paramatma, he is present inside the heart of all the people and making them like a puppets. Everybody is like a puppet in this world. Paramatma, he controls everything. He is in control. He is in charge. And even one sloka before that it says, Swabhavadena Kaunteya Nibaddha Svena Karmana Kartum Nechasi Enmohat Karishyasi Avashopi Tat. Even if you don't want to do something, you do not have control over yourself. I am the one who is present inside every being. I instigate. So you will do what I want you to do. So you will avashaha. You have no control over yourself. You will do exactly what I want you to do. You will do it. So he says that in 60th verse and 61st verse he says that, and in 62nd verse he says, so tameva shano, just you just surrender to me. That's all he says. And having said all these words, suddenly Krishna says, okay, do as you please. How, when Krishna is saying, you have no control, you will do exactly what I want you to do. You don't have any free will, no free will for you, no freedom for you. When Krishna is saying that, suddenly he will not say, oh, do as you please. That is not. So here, context tells us, hey, having said all this, do you think you can do the whatever way you want? You cannot. So he says, actually there he says, you will be doing whatever I want you to do, you will do that. So that's how that means that akshepa is basically something that is very difficult to grasp unless people have a very nice the total concept. This was missed by all the people prior to Madhvacharya, but Madhvacharya came and gave this meaning, and Raghavendra Swami in Gita Vivruti follows the same foot principles, footprints put by Madhvacharya, and he gives in Gita Vivruti that beautiful meaning. And he says, even if you don't want to fight, you're going to end up fighting because I want you to fight. And when Krishna gave this challenge, and also after that, Krishna tells, like in 66th verse, he says, that's another verse that we're going to look at. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vaja aham tva sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami mashucha. Here, Sarvadharman parityajya. And before Acharya, everybody came and said, Sarvadharman paritya, because take the literal translation. Give up all the dharmas and just mamekam sharanam vala. Surrender to me. So give up all the dharmas and just surrender to me. And it looks also very nice. Just give up everything. Just surrender to me. If this is what is meant, and this is how a lot of people commented before Acharya Madhva came and said, no, get the correct concept. And Bhashya and Tatparya, in two ways Acharya gave the correct interpretation for that. And Rayaru, he took that and he told that Tatparya meaning he first gives, and then Bhashya meaning in Gita Vivruti. So Acharya, this is how Rayaru gives in Gita Vivruti. He says, Katham manmanaha tu adikam ityata uktam sarvadharman ityante. So what it means is, so before that sloka, so he says, manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mameva satyam te pratijane priyosime. In the prior verse, Sri Krishna says that manmana bhava, so put your mind in me because you are dear to me. So you make devotion to me and do my aradhana and do namaskara to me. So then you will definitely obtain me. So all that you have to do is you don't have to give up the war because I want you to fight the war. You fight the war, but while fighting the war, keep the mind on me and do it as a worship of me. Even the fighting the war, you have to do as if, because it is dharma yuddha. You are doing the dharma yuddha to please the Lord. So with that mentality, you fight the war. If you don't fight the war, that is you're giving up the duty. That is wrong. But fighting the war is the right thing. So that he is saying. So that's why he says sarvadharman parityajya means, what it means is, here says manmana bhava ityadina kimuktam bhavati ityatah tasya upasamhara rupena vyakhya. Its upasamhara is that mamekam sharanam raja. So you have to surrender to me because that's what he said. But what is that sharanagati? So a lot of people, sharanagati means surrendering to Krishna means giving up all duties and surrender Paramatma. That is not what real surrender is. Sharanagati definition, Acharya quoted from Mahavishnu, Vishnu Purana, and that same thing Rayaru quotes. He says, उक्तं हि सर्वोत्तमत्व विज्ञानपूर्वं तत्र मनः सदा सर्वाधिकप्रेमयुक्तं सर्वस्य अत्र समर्पणम् अखण्डा त्रिविधा पूजा तद् रत्येव स्वभावतः रक्षति इत्येव विश्वासः तदीयो अहमिति स्मृतिः शरणागति एषा स्यात् विष्णौ मोक्षफलप्रदा. Vishnu Sharanagati means this is exactly what is the definition of Sharanagati means one must have Sarvo Bhagavantai Sarvottamatva. This Vijnana has to be there, the very awareness, knowledge that Mahavishnu is Sarvottama and all supreme. That knowledge has to be there. With that knowledge, Tatra Manah Sada, you have to put your mind in Vishnu, and that should be sarvadhika prema yuktam. It has to be greater than the love for ever. This is the bhakti definition also. Bhakti means Acharya says kim bhaktir nama, and Bhartat Pranile Acharya says what is bhakti means mahatmya jnana purvakah sudrudaha sarvatodikha sneho bhakti riti proktaha. Bhakti means that is what is bhakti. So sarvadhika prema yukta, that means the prema, love, sneha for the Lord should be the greatest. That is how it should be. And sarvasya atra samarpanam. And you have to surrender, offer everything to Paramatma. Offer the karmas to Paramatma means what? Thinking that Paramatma is the Swatantra doer and all of us are Aswatantra doers. That knowledge, and then treating every karma as a worship of the Lord, that is real karma samarpana. That karma samarpana has to be done. And akhanda trividha puja, three kinds of akhanda puja. What is three kinds of puja? Not only kaika puja, manasika, vachika. So always when we do the puja, the manas has to be in the puja, the words. So trikarana suddhi puja, that is trividha puja, has to be done, and that has to be done with a natural surrender to God. So tadratyeva swabhavatah, and rakshati ityeva vishwasaha. If I surrender to God, He will definitely protect me. Rakshati iti eva vishwasaha, the complete confidence, faith in the Lord, that when I surrender to Lord, He is going to take care of me. That vishwasa has to be there. This and tadiyaha aham iti smrutihi. I am His dasa. He is Isha, I am His dasa. I belong to Him. He is my Lord. I am His servant. So this smruti, this smarana, this thought process should be there at all times. It's not like occasionally thinking I am His dasa, occasionally. No. At all times, I am always His dasa. This smarana has to be there. That a collection of all this, that is real sharanagati. That sharanagati has to be done. And that has to be done. That is real way of dharma parityaga. Sarva dharman means anya sarva dharman parityajya. So Rayaru explains sarva dharman iti anya sarva dharman parityajya manmana man bhakto madhyaji ityevam. So anya dharman means whatever are someone else's dharmas, that is not what I should do. Whatever is my dharma, I have. See, dharma word, there's no English translation for that. There's no English equivalent for that word dharma. Dharma, sometimes we say like, is my dharma, is my duty. Or it is dharma of the fire to burn. It's the swabhava, it's the nature of the fire. So to say the nature, we use the dharma. To say the duty, we use the dharma. Or to say that punya karya, they do a lot of dharma karyas. Punya karyas, we use the word dharma. So it takes different shapes, different circumstances. The real definition for dharma is dharana dharma. That which supports, that which sustains is dharma. That is real dharma. And what is the role of how we do recognize dharma? How is dharma? Dharmo rakshati rakshitha. If we follow dharma, the dharma will protect us. That is dharma. That is the real word dharma. So there is no English equivalent for that. So I just use the word as it is dharma. So this sarva dharma means give up all dharmas means now the fighting is dharma of Arjuna. If he has to give up all dharmas means fighting he has to give up. No. Anya sarva dharman parityaja. That means whatever do not concern you, whatever that you should not do, those things you give up. But whatever you should do, you have to do it. So it is by putting the word anya, which is implied, which is hidden. That's why iti guhyatamam shastram idamuktamaya naga, Krishna says in elsewhere. Guhyatama Shastra. Why it's Guhyatama Shastra? Secret knowledge. It's a secret. Everybody has a Gita book, but still it is secret. Why is it secret? Because people misunderstand this, misinterpret this. So the real understanding will come only with proper gurus. And fortunately, we have a guru like Raghavendra Swami, and his works are there even today to teach us. So this Anya Dharman, of course, this is indicated by Acharya Madhva, and in the same lines, Rayaru told us Anya Sarva Dharman Pratyajya. So whatever belongs to other dharmas, I mean dharmas of other people, don't do that. Or whatever dharmas are prohibited for you, don't do that. Anya dharmas you give up, but your dharmas you do it. So that is what is indicated. And he gives another face of that for the same sloka. Another way is Sarvadharman means Yadva or else Sarvadharman Parityajya iti Sarvadharma Phalani Parityajya ityartha Anyatha Iddha Vidhi Virodha Syat. Sarvadharman, give up all dharmas means give up the fruits, give up the attachment for the fruits of all dharmas. The Phalani Parityajya. So give up the attachment for the fruits of say karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetu mate sangosta karmani. This approach, same thing. So otherwise, if you don't give that meaning, if you say all dharmas have to be given up, then it is yuddha vidhi virodha syat. That means Arjuna had to say, hey, Krishna, you told give up all dharma, so I'm giving up yuddha. That's my dharma, I give up. No, that's not how it is. So give up the pratiphala apeksha of the yuddha vidhi. So yuddha vidhi don't give up. So yadva avaishnava sarvadharman pratyajya ityartha. Avaishnava dharmas you give up, not all dharmas. So that's why it says anadi janmakuta patibandhaka satta katham mameva yeshyasi ityukti hityatha. So because mameva yeshyasi, by giving, if you give up all dharmas, how can they reach Paramatma? To reach the Paramatma, you don't have to give, you should not give up your dharmas. So that's why by understanding the context, we have to know that the literal translation should not be taken. We have to look at the heart of it. So Raya Vivruti helps us to go to the heart of the Gita. So this was that's why here says ma suchaha. Suchaha means don't feel sad. Ma suchaha, ma shokam kuru. Don't do any shoka. So when we avoid becoming sad, only when we perform our dharmas. If we don't perform our dharmas, it will lead to our sadness. So performing dharmas is very important. So people went with superficial meaning and people missed the real meaning of this sloka. So this is just a small sample. There are all over Gita, so many slokas. People had wrong understanding, and Acharya Madhva came and corrected all the concepts, and Rayaru came and gave simple terms, simple words. He explained whatever Acharya explained, those concepts, and which Tika Rayaru further explained. Those concepts have been taken by Rayaru and put in a simple, nice words, and Rayaru has given us. And with this, I conclude my talk. So, Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. I offer this few words to lotus feet of Paramatma. Saram Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Kayana vacha mansendiyarva buddhyatmana va anusasubhavam karomiti sakalam parasmi narayana sarapyami. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hare Srinivasa.
Gurugle, ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು. It was very eye opener. Folks, if you guys have any questions or anything to ask, please do.
Yes, Suril Venkat here. I have a small thing. It was very good to understand how Ryle has simplified the meanings to of Acharya's works and Gita. My takeaway for today was before you explained the three slokas, sir. You talked about. I mean, I believe in the belief of we need to start right to end right for everything. We need to start right to end right. So I came across this Pratha Samarpana Gadya and Sarva Samarpana Gadya, which you talked about. So that gives my takeaway for every session is like, what can I implement immediately knowing this? I think these two are things, how to start right to end right within a day, right? So do you think of any resource where I can get these two online or wherever, to understand more and start implementing in day-to-day life?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. So I think probably I can send you some information on that, and probably I've done some talks on that also. So I'll see if I can forward that information. And yeah, definitely the Pratisankalpagatya and Sarvasamparnagatya are simple works. Like the Prasankalpa basically like about 4 pages, and Sarvasamparnagatya is like about 2 pages, and very small works and beautiful works. Yeah, like Prasanam is a Laukika Vaidika Bheda Bhinna Varnatmaka Dhvanyatmaka. The start itself, it talks about the Sarvashabda Vachyatva of Paramatma. So that's how it starts. Like Father Sankalpagadya, when Raya is starting, he's giving the concept of Sarvashabda Vachyatva of Paramatma, because the Paramatma, he is known by all the words and all the sounds. This concept is the unique concept given by Acharya Madhva, because every word in this, every word in this world can talk about Paramatma, because when the word gives the meaning of Sarvottamattva type of meaning, then it represents Paramatma. If it gives the any other meaning, then it represents somebody else. Just to give you a simple example, suppose the sinner, the word sinner is there, an English word, but papi is a word. We know that a sinner or papi is a negative word. So it's how can this negative word represent Paramatma? How can it talk about Paramatma? So, but if we define sinner means one who has absolute control of all the sins. That is the sinner. Sinner means owner of the sins. The owner of the sins means controller of the sins. So then Paramatma alone is the absolute controller. He determines who gets what sin where and what phala for what sin. Everything is determined by Paramatma. So the word sinner, if we give one meaning, one who commits the sin, then it represents a bad guy or a sinner. But when it will give a meaning that one who controls everything, it represents Paramatma. That means same word can represent two different entities. So same way, any word if we take, if the word gives a definition that talks about the Sarvottamatva, then it represents Paramatma. So this was the very start of Pratisankalpagadya starts with this. So Laukika, Vaidika, Bheda, Bhinna, Varnatmaka. It can be Laukika words. It can be Vaidika, Veda Sambandha. So the words that are used in Vedas are the words that are used in a day-to-day life. It can be not only just words, it can be sounds, like a sound of the ocean, the sound of the wind blowing. Even those sounds can represent Paramatma, but we may not know its meaning. We may not know, understand the truth, like the sound of a ocean, how it represents Paramatma. We may not get it, but the Uttama Devatas, they can understand. So this thought process, the beautiful thought process, is what is start, the Pratisankalpati, when you start itself, that Sarvashabda Vachyatva of Paramatma, that concept that Pratisankalpagadya is started, like that, really deep meanings are there with that. So yeah, I'll definitely forward the information about this Pratisankalpagadya and Sarvasamparnagatya. Sure, definitely. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು ಆಚಾರ್ಯ.
Yeah.
ಟೈಮ್ ಸಾಕಾಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇದೆ.
Yeah, ತುಂಬಾ ಸಂತೋಷ. So ಇನ್ನು ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ anybody has any other questions, you can send it later on also. So we'll definitely be happy to answer any questions today.
Thank you very much, sir, for all the useful information you have given us. And we want to hear more about Pratha Sankalpa Gadya, Sarva Samarpana Gadya. So Pratha Sankalpa Gadya means you are waking up early in the morning and then you are doing Sankalpa. Sarva Samarpana Gadya means, is it like you are just dedicating everything you have done in that day to Lord?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah. Yes. And the beauty of that is, while doing that itself, a lot of concepts that are there in Shastra are also presented. So a beautiful mingling, intermingling, or combination of beautiful thought process that is in the form of a worship of the Lord, and also a basic, sankalpa and samarpana. Along with that, Shastric concepts are also given. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, like we appreciate that if you could, give us a discourse on word by word translation of this, what you call Prata Sankalpa Gadya and Sarva Samarpana Gadya. And
Definitely.
most of our SGS members are very passionate to, actually memorize both these Prata Sankalpa Gadya and Sarva Samarpana Gadya.
Definitely, we'll do that.
Yeah, thank you so very much. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Om Sri Raghavendraya Namaha.
Om Shri Raghavendraya Namaha.